Good night, Facebook. Not Facebook. Good night, YouTube. Just recognize the YouTube was not actually up and running, but we got the YouTube up and running, so we're all good. We're all good. We're all good over on Facebook, on Instagram, and on YouTube. Nathan, are you good at math too? I would hope so, because I teach it too. I would hope that I'm at least competent at what I teach. But yes, once you're inside, hit that like button, double tap the screen out there on TikTok. That's how you hit the like button there. Wherever else you are looking at this, do hit that like button there too, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram. Hit the like, let the algorithm, let our machine overlords know, hey, this is good stuff. Send the notifications out to some more people. Blessings, blessings, your effect. Seeing Zaya. You know, as I see it there with the Rastafarian flag, is that something that kind of amuses me, is how often many of the very pro-Afro people, the people that have some kinship with Rastafarianism, etc., 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 and they talk about His Imperial Majesty while they're talking about anti-colonialism, but they venerate a literal emperor. Interesting stuff, interesting stuff. This whole history and thing. It's a whole interesting endeavor. But welcome, people. It's Thursday. Thursday we talk. Well, I mean, we talk every day on the live, but we talk as in, if you're feeling to get something off your chest, as Trini says, he has something on his chest that he really has to get off, or if you want to debate something, you disagree with something I've said before. Where you from? Trinidad. If you want to do such, feel free to jump in. Wait, where's the birth of Rastafarianism? Africa? No, I'm pretty sure it's not. I'm pretty sure Rastafarianism is on the western side of the world it was born. I'm pretty sure. I am not 100% certain, because it's been a while since I read anything like that about it, but I'm pretty sure it's a western creation and then exported back to Africa. Strangely enough, there are lots of things like that. There are lots of things like that that were invented over here and sent back to Africa as if it were native to Africa. But no. Jamaica Boo says, I would guess Jamaica, but the only reason I wouldn't say that is because I'm not 100% certain. Otis says he reached late. Well, Otis, so did I. You know how it goes sometimes. So people, hit that like button. What we talking about? What we thinking about? The ninjas at fault, allegedly, according to the Prime Minister. And you know, whenever you choke that raceness in Trinidad and Tobago, bacchanal.
Yeah, boy. What's going on, Nathan? What's going on, man? Funny enough, I was on 2 lives last night and today now, boy. We was having discussions about the government, and then we led into a crazy discussion on the live last night that led into a race discussion that somehow follow up the live today now, boy, this afternoon. And I find it interesting, I find it like real interesting.
That was the live with the panel that looked like it had about 20 people on this or something like that.
I don't know if it was there or not, but
yesterday when I came on, I jumped into that live for like about a minute before I started my live. I saw you and Black Panther Party were in there.
Yeah. That was the live for sure. What we're gonna have to do? And you know what interesting? Because what the PM said,
you come to say hi
I didn't really take any great offense to what the PM said. And I know some of my pro-blacks ain't going to like me saying that number. But I have no problem with what the PM necessarily said. Because if we being totally honest about this thing, right? Because it was brought up in the live. We're talking about certain areas that are well densely populated with the Afro community, and they tend to vote politically in a particular way that leads towards an Afro party to the majority now. And we're talking about said party that probably hasn't done something for them in a very long time. I would say, what has the PM necessarily said wrong? Now, I don't necessarily support the zones of special operations in terms of the gross power that it allows the prime minister, right? And then the expansion of the security forces. But what she said in terms of the PNM party being an Afro-leading party and the fact that they are blocking certain things for the Afro community that is supposed to be supported, I can't see no wrong in that. I can't see no wrong in that. Now, that might shake a little feather because the woman in black herself. And she leans in a particular light now, way. But I don't care where I don't care what mouth it come out from. It's just like, hey, she said it. I think we gotta deal with it. We're gonna have to.
Tell me what she is.
She's I know that she I never want to say blood. She I never want blood. She's a Hindu Indian and that's so let me just make that clear now, right?
I share a similar sentiment to what you saying there, Trini, because there is some reality to what she's speaking about. But I put that in a similar light like what she was saying about the regional corporations. I would hope so, Erani. I would hope so. What you are saying about the regional corporations, that they're inefficient and there's a lot of laziness and waste of money there. I agree. And she is saying that the PNM politicians aren't very interested in the advancement of the PNM people. And you could read Afro-Black ninjas, however you want to say it, in that. And that isn't necessarily incorrect. But to me, the issue with both the regional corporation statement and the Afro-Black crime statement is to what end? Like, I would be okay with you criticizing the efficiency of the corporations if what you are attempting to do is strip down government spending and streamline it to maximize efficiency. But that's not what this government is attempting to do. You see no signs that that's what they were going to do. And okay, yes, some of the Afro communities do have a heightened level of crime. That is true. And there is a focus there in criminality. That is true. And if it was that people believe that you were indeed trying to help, I would have much less of a problem with it. I don't really have a problem with the statement, but it would create much less of a furor. I think part of the issue is people don't believe you're trying to help. And here's how easily you could have solved that. Why not consult the zones that you intend to make special operation zones, have some public consultations as to what rules and stipulations they would like to see inside of the zones. And here's the thing, you don't even have to take any of the recommendations. Mama guide the people self now. At least pretend like you're trying to do real leadership, because that's what would make those people then say, okay, when you say that the Afro communities have more crime, you're actually just noting the fact of the matter because you want to help us. But when you say the Afro communities have more crime and the PNM don't do nothing about it, but I don't really care, let them suffer. If they do a crime, let them get the gangs. That doesn't seem like you're saying this based on the magnanimity of your heart. You just care so much. That's why you're pointing out this fact. Barry Padarat came out to say that facts aren't racist, and he's right. But it's not the facts that people are really frowning about. They're questioning whether your motives in trying to highlight those facts have anything to do with a resolution.
Whatever with Padarat, right? Whatever, right? That guy. Anyway, listen to me, right? I don't really care what the Prime Minister is saying now. You know what I view it as? To me, this is simple divide and rule tactics happening, and people biting the bait and running with it. People biting this bait and running, and now it have a whole set of divide race talk taking place. The easiest way to govern them is to divide them. If you had people talking united because of the raising this tax and the raising this traffic fine, so now you kill off that, you kill that. The momentum done. That momentum is SOE done there, and you kill any momentum where two sides coming together on one issue, which is you're making the cost of living higher and higher. You destroy that. And that is the simple tactic, divide and rule. Divide and rule. I grew up in Lavantil West. All of we know what the outside of Lavantil West and Port of Spain think about anybody from Lavantil. Them as criminals. I don't care. Now you don't bother. I don't care. I never care about that. It is what it is.
You know, Abdul, I like that point you make there. Before you move from that point, that's something to consider in political rhetoric, because I believe the government was losing the PR battle on the raising fines. They were losing the publicity battle on the raising fines. More and more every day, you were seeing people who were self-confessed former supporters of the government, and they're saying this doesn't make sense, this is unfair, this is wicked. What better way to get people back into their camps than to stir up the racial pool?
This is what I see in it as, you know. I not seen it as nothing but that, because I always considered the UNC party core base to be extremely racist. Always. That never changed for me. So racist rhetoric coming out of the mouth, why should that shock me? Why I should be so aghast? I expect from the time you can invite Modi, and I like no stuff at a man like Modi, I know where your principles lie. I saying it.
I
know where your principles lie.
You understand what he saying?
Being real.
No, that Modi thing has less to do with some camaraderie that has to do with geopolitics, man.
Understand what I'm saying? Still, the first person you invite is a man who have a particular reputation. Why? Because you want to align yourself in India. You're not from India. Your generations in Trinidad, you're born here. Somewhere along the line must you have African in your family some way.
Well, you see, the reality is that is a link that not only here wants, but India itself cultivates that link. And they have been cultivating that link. So it's not a one-way thing. I'm not surprised that that's the direction that went, because it's kind of expected. Would it have been bad, or was it bad when we went to get the yams from Ghana or wherever and getting that link?
I said, was it
Prime
bad?
Minister in Ghana? That's no. Does the Prime Minister in Ghana have the same perception in some quarters about him as the President or Prime Minister of India?
I am 100% certain he does.
Probably,
He don't have the title Butcher of Accra.
Well, I'm not saying that, but I'm 100% certain in certain sections of Ghana, they're not going to like him. And then, bear in mind, we had connections with a tribal king, a monarch, an authoritarian leader. What's his legacy?
Authoritarian leaders and the monarch better than what we have here right now.
All right. But bear in mind, was that negative when we did it there while we're doing it here? My problem isn't with Modi. Because it's similar to like my issue was with Maduro, where I don't think it's our prerogative to try and put moral judgment on other world leaders. We deal with them as they exist.
My problem is with Modi. What I'm saying is, from the time your first alignment and your first invite upon forming your government was someone who is perceived public perception, perceived to be a Hindu ultra-nationalist who has no problem with enforcing a caste system. When you are the Prime Minister of a quote-unquote multicultural country with many ethnic races, That didn't fit well with me.
But did it sit well with you? Did it sit well with you when the previous administration brought an Ashanti king here who probably thinks the same type of way? Because that's technically how it kind of goes, you know. And fair enough, right? They brought the Ashanti king here to do whatever, you know, all the atrocities of slavery or whatever, all that good stuff. We get that. That's fine to me. But what is this so-called perception that clearly we don't get in terms of Kamala Prasad Bisesa being a Hindu woman, Modi being a Hindu man, and the fact that India and Trinidad and Tobago have had ties and relations for a very long time. For a very long time. You know what I'm saying?
And part of the offering had to do with the Indian overseas citizen or residency or whatever thing that they were offering, and they've been offering that all around the world for the Indian diaspora. And I understand it from the Indian point of view. Modi looks like he is playing the old school civilizational game where he's trying to win the game of civilization. And he's attempting to strengthen the Indian diaspora and strengthen the connections he has with the Indian diaspora. Why would he not do that? And from our side, they're attempting to do the same. Why would they not do that? Just as the previous administration did with Ghana. We spoke about last night, is it Ghana also building some kind of memorial, something in Jamaica? There are connections, there are historical connections. That's just the fact of it. Now, I don't deny, and I've said this many times, that I believe the UNC is a party that by and large is built on a racial divide. I'm not saying it's a racist party. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's built on a racial divide, as I've always said. And while the PNM is built way more on a class divide, I've always said this. This isn't a new thing. So it's not surprising that a lot of the talk around UNC goes around to racism. If you read, like, try and infiltrate some really UNC groups and join as a member and read. Don't jump in if you have bad things to say, but read, and you see that inside there where things are, where you think other eyes might not see. Yes, there's a lot of racism, but almost all of it is a victim mindset level of racism. It's like, we are racist because we are taken advantage of. And that's why rhetoric like that side has the criminals and they don't want to stop the criminals is effective in our present political landscape. The caste system also exists in many parts of the African continent. Not the caste system. A class stratification system exists nearly everywhere in the world, but the caste system speaks about something in specific.
All I'm saying is, based on all that, I'm not shocked. I don't know why people are getting so surprised. I am not. What? I'm not. It's expected at some point in time. It's expected.
Yeah, Ronnie, what you have to say?
Good night.
Good night.
Hi everybody. I wanted to jump in real earlier, but I was busy. Sorry for my green boobs. Anyway, when Trini started up with this whole and I thought about it too, you know, well, she's not wrong, you know, but I guess for me, we have to look before what happened before to cause this type of comments. You knew this before you went into power, Nazo? She knew this along her campaign trail. She knew this when she was born. She knew this her whole life. I should have would have tell her this. Right? But you came, you didn't come and say, well, in order for this country to run better, we must put the African men and women under our foot. That is what we must do. That is how we will get this country to be better. She didn't say that, did she? she made it seem like she had answers, and she clearly doesn't, because your answer is to form. I know it's have more to it or whatever, but it's basically to form a kind of apartheid kind of way, where you're viewing certain people from certain areas of certain races as lesser than, or having, or you want to give them less rights because of what. And I'm not saying, and again, it's not that you're completely wrong, right? But to me, it all came as a deflection for what? It's like she put her foot in her mouth, and then she put the next foot in her mouth, and then she tried to put her hand in her mouth at the same time. I know how flexible this woman is, eh? But my God, by the time she's done, everything in she mouth. Because you come and make a statement, people call you out on it. You make a next statement, people call you out again. You make a next statement. By the time we're done this week, how much more statements it will have?
Yeah, and go ahead, finish.
And it's all just about defending yourself or a deflection. If you came from it at a good place, like you're saying this out of a good place, like I want better for you because I realize this is the road that I realize does be going down, blah, 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 blah. And this is how we want to get it better. We want to make it better. Not, well, hard lucks. If that all you want, then hard lucks. Go so. Deal with whatever you have to deal with. And when the criminals do, that is a nasty thing to say. That is a nasty way to think. And anybody who could defend that, I'm real sorry. You are the real bootlickers here.
Yeah. You know, it's the same problem like the Venezuela situation. Listen, if you've been in my life for long enough, I have asked for some kind of form of a Zosu style thing. I have said this numerous times because it's obvious that in Trinidad there are geographical locations where a certain kind of violent crime is concentrated. So it doesn't make sense that you focus effort around the whole country with the same level of intensity while everybody knows it's in X area. That seems like an obvious thing. And okay, you might say I came up with the plan, but then the PNM come in and they make it a racial thing. But then even if that was the case, even if you're saying, because I'm speaking as if I am a UNC politician here, all right, we're coming with this idea, the PNM brought up a race thing to make it racially geographic. And listen, in the middle of this whole conversation, was it The Guardian or Express wrote an article with an easy get out of jail free card for them if they were willing to be diplomatic with their conversation. It was that Central actually had the highest crime. And you could have made it known that crime does not have an ethnicity. That it's obvious that there are certain places, certain groups that get affected more, that are victimized more, that find themselves in the detrimental and unfortunate cycle of poverty and crime and the hurt and the bleed it all you want. But to say, all right, the PNM say that we're going and aim at the Negras. So our response to that is, yes, we aiming at the Negras, and all you deserve to be aimed at. And the PNM make it that we couldn't aim at all you, so now all you had to suffer. What? How does that work in a positive light? Yes, RL. You see how you put that in quotes? Concentrated in certain geographic areas. Listen, that is what politicians supposed to be able to do. Communicate, nah, man. Use your words with some intelligence. Jeez, man. But again, we deserve who we have leading us. We voted for that.
Nathan, Ronnie now use a word here, right? Ronnie now use your word apartheid, right? Let me tell you something, right? You had a quote, my accelerationist, you know. Malcolm X make a statement about chickens coming home to roost. He said chickens coming home to roost never made me sad. A matter of fact, it made me glad. And that is how I feel about them doing some stupidness like that. You understand? Just put pressure. Just keep putting pressure.
Listen.
Keep applying pressure. See what will be.
And I know what you're saying because I know I actually believe what you're saying and I believe you mean it. And here's the problem I have. Because I am not an accelerationist. I am but a humble reformist. A reformer. I'd like, to make slow changes, not disrupt the whole apple cart. Let's, take out some of the rotten ones and fix things and, patch it up as we go. But I, as someone who'd like reform, make things correct, I am looking at this. And what's kind of surreal in a sense with this is the present administration came into power with full knowledge that a major part of the disgruntlement the country had with the last administration was the high-handed kind of lack of caring feel that it had with that last administration. I am not saying that's my view. I am saying that was the widely held public view. And the UNC campaigned basically on that they would be the more caring ones. To campaign on that and then come in with austerity combined with annoyance. Listen, bear in mind, to effectively be an authoritarian government, you must control the military as your own. They do not. I agree with you, Abdul. That's a dangerous game to play. It's a dangerous game to play. And part of the problem, and I've always said this, part of the problem with rioting is comfortable people do riot. People who have things nice, they don't riot because they have no reason to make themselves extremely uncomfortable because they're already comfortable. But if they have already been made extremely uncomfortable, you're only increasing the likelihood that sparks could ignite something. So you're throwing gas and scratching sparks. That's not a good combination. And I find that this government seems to do that a lot and double down into it. I see rioting is no answer. I agree. But there's this statement from Martin Luther King that they quoted ad nauseum back in 2020. The riot is the voice of the voiceless. And it wasn't a recommendation, but a statement of fact. If people feel like they cannot be heard, they will do things drastic. That's just the reality. And as I was going to say, making things in the country more difficult and then pushing on it and redoubling the effort, I think that's a bad idea. I've heard many people highlight that it seems like there's some Trump inside of the strategy. And as I've said, Mrs. Prasad-Bissessar and Trump do not have the same political ideology. But I do believe they are attempting to borrow strategies from the Trump administration. The problem is they don't have the same facts. They don't have the same pieces on the board. It's like you're copying somebody else playing chess, but you're playing a different game of chess. The queen is in a different spot. The rook isn't there on this board. Our board isn't made up the same way. So when Trump and Stephen Miller could go and redouble their efforts on immigration, they're doing that based on the idea that they know at least a significant portion of their country is in support of them on this. And the people that they are aiming to push out are people who aren't even citizens of their country. But even on such an issue, when people started to die and it started to seem like this could lose, even Trump and they changed and slowed down the heat in Minnesota because they understand they're working with a tinderbox. You need to govern by permission. I hope our government could understand and recognize that.
Rennie's supposed to be here. Is she here?
Yeah, I think I'm here. I don't know if she got talked to.
She's been up a while.
Yeah, she
Yeah, but other people was talking. She will have manners.
Good evening, everyone. I was just thinking.
Pause. Just so you know, Rennie. Sorry, I'm very sorry. Rude entrance to your first one.
No, that is okay. I'm working and y'all are speaking, so.
But, Ronnie, this is a prime example of why the wage gap exists. Men don't wait for permission to jump in. Them is just jump in. All you're waiting for, excuse me, please. Hands up, please. Excuse me. So take 20 cents less. Go ahead, Rennie.
Technically, yes.
Oh no, y'all can go ahead in the meantime. I was doing an expense, but I was listening to y'all speak about
Yeah, what are you doing working this holiday day?
Listen, I was given 2 new assignments and oh child, I didn't get to finish it.
Big up that.
So I'm doing it now. Because if it's been tomorrow, it's pressure.
You sound like you're doing what I do. I left work 10 o'clock last week, so I understand 2 days.
You know what? Because you all don't even work in the same type of places, right? What you doing in a government office at this hour, bruv? At that hour, I should see. What are you going on?
You see that's when it is you decided to up and work remotely now. So
Oh no, I don't work remotely.
No, but lads, I was saying you all just do 2 different things now, boy. No, all them might be 2 similar alleys, but what I'm stating is that
Anyway.
we know how it works in Toronto.
Government work 10 o'clock. All right. But RL, you're right. Trump have the US dollar and $1 trillion military. That's why he can do the things he does. Yes. And even internally, the press that he presses, he is aiming at a certain at coalescing a certain silent majority. That's his aim. His aim is to try and get a certain group he believes is a silent majority. While I think a lot of what the UNC is doing is they're aiming at their most core base of supporters. Those people can't keep you winning. They can't keep you in power. Appealing to them has no real benefit. And ostracizing everyone else, I think, is a losing strategy.
But I think so as well, because is it not to my knowledge that even the core base of the UNC doesn't win them elections anymore?
No, it does not.
Like any PNM's broad base is why the PNM runs this country on full steam when they get good and ready. Because I don't see it as that. You see that, and that is my issue. Like that's kind of my main issue, to try to pull political strategies from countries where the political landscape is just vastly different, and it just doesn't work like that. Because for some reason, Trinidad and Tobago people love to do this reference game in terms of the fact that yes, America is a 2-party system. Yes, they have 2 major political parties that sway similar, but it's frankly not the same. Like how people think about politics, how the citizens of America think and go about politics is vastly different. It just isn't the same.
And they don't have the same political system as we do.
Exactly. So somehow, I don't know why, in God's green earth, that the citizens or the government, politicians, believe that they can run the same game. It doesn't work. It's not going to work.
You see, our Prime Minister doesn't have executive order power. She can't just write it down, sign a document and say that's the law. We don't have that here. So as much as she would like it, I've seen all the UNC government senators demand that the independent senators resign. Like, what? No.
So what did I say last night? What did I say is taking place in Trinidad right now?
What's that?
There's an economic warfare being waged on one group of people, and a political power warfare being waged on another group of people. This is what is taking place. You want to get out the quote-unquote 1%, who, let me be real, is the Syrians and the Lebanese you want to get rid of. Because you want your people to fill that power spot. Right? At the same time now, The same ninjas, the same P&M blackhead chicken and them who vote you wanted for elections. Right? You're trying to put pressure on them now.
Here's why I believe it's usually way more class than recent. That ticket business, combined with the landlord business, combined with the bar license business, is not affecting ninjas, blackhead chickens the most. The reality is, the majority of bar owners in Trinidad. Listen, I read that article yesterday. I didn't read it in the live, but I read it in preparation for the live. The Bar Owners Association is complaining lots of bars are closing. If you're following along online, lots of bars all around are closing. They raised the bar license, the liquor license by 400%. Something ridiculous they did. And what's interesting in the complaint that the bar owners said, we voted for change and improvement in the country. That was part of the statement in their letter. How can the bar owners talk about we voted like they all voted together? Because there's an understanding that this group generally leans a certain way more. So, licking up the bar industry isn't hitting ninjas. And that's why I said I think it's a political strategy. If indeed there is any strategy to it, there's a political strategy afoot so that people, the 19,000 coconut vendor who got 19,000 in tickets, instead of looking at the people who were angry about the Zoso and the possible ramifications of that, and saying, yeah, this government seems oppressive. Let's see what we could do together. Instead, he says, well, I's a Indian, and them is not, boy. So we had to go with we people. And you force everyone into their group. It's convenient. And it's convenient to the politics of the country. Especially namely the politicians. But I think it's a smokescreen to avoid anything differently. It's not one race that they are affecting with their decisions. It's not one race. I don't think the police have instructions to give tickets to one race of people. I don't know what the ethnic makeup of car ownership is in Trinidad, but if it isn't half and half and it leans one direction, I would assume it leans more to the UNC direction. So I don't think it hurts more that way. Leave from south of Grand Bazaar. And well, now times are changing, but south of Grand Bazaar was known for derelict vehicles. Fellas who holding it together with their hand as they drive in. That was a common thing in the more rural areas of the country. But who getting licks with that? Who getting licks with that? The majority of the Afro population on the bus route. Your licks was $1 more or how much ever more increase in the bus route fare. Bus route price for the maxi taxi drivers. But that's not a racial thing. And to buy into what they are selling or what some political movers would like to sell, to make it into a racial thing, is only working in their benefit. It's working to their benefit because the aim is to scare people into their corners. But if you break it down and look at it, it's not on race. Sir, you do not have as much in common with them as you do with me. Yes, their hair may be a similar texture to yours, but they are the 1% that they're always preaching about. And what they're doing will benefit that 1%. The 1% doesn't go in hawk and spit corner bars. They have premium bars they go to, and the price is inconsequential to them. It's somebody's tax write-off anyway, because it's going to be seen as marketing. They're not worried about bars. They're not worried about road traffic laws. Their vehicle is last year bought. Every year, the vehicle they have could only be as old as last year. They're not worried about that. They don't even need inspection sticker because the vehicle is a new vehicle. Doesn't bother them. That has nothing to do with race. That's not about race.
That's a party off. You see? I did it. Pay mama 20 cents. Anyway.
Well done.
I understand exactly what you're saying, but I don't understand how it applies. Not necessarily that what you're saying is wrong per se. You're saying that it doesn't affect the 1% or whatever. But to me, in my observation, it seems as if it is affect. The only 1%ers that not being affected is 1%ers who have a government salary to claim at the end of a month, a year, whatever time frame, right? But 1%ers who actually have to make their money and actually put out a product, actually give value for money, they are being hurt by these policies that they have now. They're raising the everything, basically they're raising everything, and I continue to say it over and over and over and over and over. We are hurting our manufacturers, we are hurting our business people, and while it's all well and good, Philip Alexander, that JA is laughing about KFC reporting less numbers and PNM vexed because I the 1% friend. How much people KFC does employ?
He's a clown.
So when KFC downsize, because KFC ain't packing up and going nowhere, we all know that KFC staying right here. But when KFC starts downsizing and further downsizing and further downsizing, who is hurting?
Ronnie, you know, you're making the point I was saying. That's the point I was making. Yes, the 1%ers may have to shut down a business, but they will open another one in Guyana or Barbados or Grenada or something. They are 1%ers. Some people, they don't recognize what a 1%er is. Let's look at it in the bar. Not all bar owners are 1%ers, but there are 1%er bar owners. 1%er bar owners love that you raise the price on the liquor license. Why? Because the 99%ers cannot afford to do that. So they have to close down. But I can. So all I'm going to do is keep mine open, and when everyone else closes down, supply, meet demand, I can charge higher for mine with even less competition. So a lot of these things would just reduce the competition in the market, and the 1%ers smile. They love when minimum wage increases. The 1%ers love that. Oh, lovely. Yes, the Walmart has lobbyists petitioning the government, please increase that minimum wage. It's so unfair for the workers that they must work for this non-livable wage. They must be paid a livable wage. Why? Because they know they could take that hit on an increase and tarry with the hit until the inflation comes and matches the hit, and their bottom line actually improves. Because all the small groceries can't take the hit, they have to close down. And then we're surprised when everything blends into one massive store. Why? Because y'all are benefiting the 1%ers. It is benefiting the 1%ers. Even the manufacturers. Not all manufacturers are 1%ers. If you ever went to TIC, the TTMA convention, there are many small and medium manufacturers in Trinidad making all sorts of different things. They can't work on that increased bottom line. So they would have to close, shut down the competition, all the consumers run up the ladder to the 1%ers. Who benefits? 1%.
Okay, great. That is not where I was going with that. For the person who say, I don't understand fundamentally what 1%ers are, please explain then what 1%ers are. I understand, and that's exactly what I was saying. They will not be the ones that are affected. Of course, they downsize, they probably lose a little bit in the short run, but in the long term, they win, right? We all know this. But what happens to regular people that like can't afford to pay these prices that lost their job?
Fact.
What if weapon there?
So basically 1% still win here. You see.
What if jealous is no for him?
And the brain cells just don't get flowing for me. Like people, and listen, I'm not against 1%ers. Don't get me wrong. Like people like to talk about the fact that government love to collude with business owners. Fair enough, they do, and they benefit off policies that, yeah, of course. But what business owners love a good lobbyist, a good lobbyist.
I'm not talking about when I'm looking for my nail.
Oh, okay. So that's crazy. So what I'm saying is this, right? I'm gonna guess 1%ers. These people obviously bring massive benefit to an economy. It is what it is. Can't get away from that. Will never get away from that. My thing is this, right? When you see these sort of increases, when you call for certain types of policies that lean left, don't blame the 1%ers for cornering the markets. Blame the fact that you keep voting in a government that willing to increase prices, give you ridiculous policies that you have to suffer under. So when you have to pay exorbitant fines and all sorts of things, you don't get to complain and bawl and scream at the 1%ers. They are doing what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
What are they going to do? They're not going to incur the cost to make you feel better about yourself because they're supposed to, because they have $1 billion in the bank, which they don't, by the way. But you're not supposed to make you feel better about yourself. Well, I brought up this point, right? Yesterday live. I say, your PM state that she wants to do a stand your ground law, right? I'm all for that, no problem with that. But then she come and increase the fees to get the weapon. I say, well, then she's blocking y'all from the same thing that she want to bring to y'all. So y'all are going to complain about the fact that she about to raise fines on y'all tail when y'all keep voting in that. Now, she's not making y'all stand your ground. She's making y'all stand something, but not your ground. It don't make any sense. You understand what I'm saying? Like, how much sense does that make when she speaks with so much bravado, but she's going to allow you people to have an ease of fire when she increased the fees? What? Does that make sense? You understand what I'm saying?
Here's the thing, with this whole 1% discussion, as you said, I have no envy for the 1%ers, but Freezer here, and I remember he's a communist. I remember that. And what they do, what many people attempt to show with the 1% discussion is that in principle I have no problem with capitalism. I saw RL was saying that a capitalistic idea there where the wealthy own everything and it lowers the cost. That could only happen with government influence. Capitalism, free market on its own does not create monopolies like that. Every time you see a monopoly, it's a government creation. Because the government is what forces people to not compete. The moment someone sees someone else doing something that is creating resources and creating an avenue for them, they're going to get competition in it. That's the idea of the free market. But what the government does is they come in to regulate it, because we care about you so much. We don't want it to just be out of hand. We will regulate it. And they regulate it into one buyer. And then we're surprised, oh my gosh, how this 1% to get it? Government do something. So the government comes in, does more, and regulates more. And what does that do? Increase the monopoly. And eventually, people like Freezer, the communists, would say, well, you know what we really need? The government needs to take over everything. So then we remove 20 monopolies and put one monopoly underneath a politician. And we say, now we got it. That's the good idea. Foolishness. They regulate it in favor of the 1%. But here's part of the problem. Part of the problem is regulation by nature is in favor of the 1%. Every bit of regulation increases the challenge to do business. It's the same thing that this present government has been talking about with the store certification down in the energy industry. The safe to work certification that any medium, small, all contractors needed to get before they went into the industry. Okay, that's a regulation to make sure that we're safe in the industry. We don't want people to go down in the industry and do mad things and blow up the whole place. So we need a certification. All right, we'll have a board to control the certification because we needed to have a standard. What does that mean? The small man who wants to go and cut grass down in Point Lisas, now he has to go and pay to certify all his waka men before they go down to cut grass. That's an expense he can't afford. While a politician, I'm going to call a name there. Let me don't get myself in trouble with names and cutting grass. If all you know anything about that, you know what you know. But I'm going to call a name. But a politician would have a link and all of his company, easy to get that. So they are the only company that could even qualify to get the contract to cut the grass. And then we're saying, oh no, look, the 1%ers are advantaging. The small man can't afford nothing. Government, please help we. And they're the ones that are causing the problem.
I want to be in that 1% circle right now, so I gotta start the line of the train. You know, all I can stay being broke.
No. But you see, Abdul, this is the issue, right? I'm not even trying to ascertain being a 1%er, but it had to come to a point where you are able to freely do business in the market and flourish now. And it can't do that with government regulation. Because here's what I'm saying, right? If I open up a grocery today, right, in my community, to service the same black people that you want me to service, fine and good enough, right? And the government come and say, you know what, in order to really help the black community, we're going to cap the amount of things you sell at a certain price point. I can't afford to import the goods in order to do this, so now I have to either, one, incur the cost to the same black people that all they want me to help. Two, let go people, the same black people that I employ. Or three, I shut down my business and the black people don't have a grocery. No. What I'm saying, Abdul, is this, right? Is that every single government regulation benefits the 1%. Even if the government comes in with good intentions to help the regular people, it always helps the people at the top. Because the only people that could survive it is the people at the top. The only people who could pay these fines, these fees, are the people at the top. Middleman, small man can't pay those fees because they don't have the money, they don't have the capital. Like, they don't have it. You know what I'm saying? So to me, and to the people who want to always engage in this socialism, communism thing, and this thing, is like, bruv, you keep asking the same government that you don't like, you don't trust, to regulate the hell out of the 1%, and you don't even understand how this thing works.
RL asks, but how these Chinese groceries and businesses just don't close at all? Nothing affects them. Wait, now, there are rumors about mafia and mafia. I don't know anything about that. I'll start with that disclaimer. I don't know that part of it. That part of it is big question mark to me. I don't know. So that may be a factor. But beside those unknown factors, part of the thing is that I think Chinese nationals don't view business the same way Trinis view business. They're okay with a much smaller profit margin over a longer period of time than many Trini businesses are okay with. So, a Trini businessman open up a mini mart. He wants to be a rich man in the first year. A Chinese national opens up a mini mart. They don't mind living like a lower class worker while they're the owner of the mini mart. But they're living and functioning like if they are a cashier in somebody else's mini mart. And then they are some of the most reliable people. I think the Chinese government, like, they probably go around China and find the best shop people they could find and send them to open groceries down here. These people understand the grocery business. They know If I am open every day between 7 and 9, every day, I am going to get customers just based on me being open every day. I know if it's 8:30 and oh shucks, I need a juice tonight, but I run out of juice in my house, but where I go in and get a juice? It have a village parlor, it have a Trini mini mart, but you know sometimes that mini mart, Sings mini mart, sometimes them is be closed by 6. While sometimes they open to 9, but you're not sure. But the Chinese, unless they get robbed, that's not a joke, it's not funny, but unless they get robbed, they open till 9. If you go by them and you see them close, something may have happened. But open till 9 every night. Holiday too. Christmas. I could go out Christmas night and buy any grocery I want. That's why they are succeeding. It's good business. And you know what annoys me sometimes? Because I look at this in American black communities and they argue about Asians coming into their communities and running successful businesses too. And you see some Trinis complain about it. Like if there's some other secret beside good business etiquette. Maybe the mafia too, maybe. But good business etiquette. Yeah, Ronnie, go ahead.
I was just about to say, I have seen it, and I think it's almost everybody but locals. And the reason I didn't say everybody but Chinese, I think it is everywhere that you go. Wherever you live or whoever you are, wherever that is, you tend to be so comfortable in your living that you don't see the need to be that driven. You will see Chinese who will not work hard a day in the life in Trinidad, and when they go to America, they're working real hard. You understand? In Tobago, it have them Syrians and Malna, what's that miss? I don't know what I miss. Who does sell gyro and thing? Like skewers and things. Skewers is open Christmas Day.
Yeah, that was Syrian.
Skewers is open Christmas Day. You understand? I tell my cousin have a pastry shop, right? I tell my cousin, man, have a little brunch Christmas Day now. Nah, girl, me can't come out them day now. I can't come out Christmas Day. Christmas Day is for family. Meanwhile, the whole of the Syrian family in skewers Christmas Day. You understand? I tell the girl I can come and help she. Nah. You understand? That's the difference. And it's not a black versus white thing. It is just a comfort thing. We are in our home and we are comfortable, so we don't see the need to. Probably some of these very same Chinese people, when they're in China, they don't do it. They probably get shipped out for bad work.
I don't think so. China might be the exception.
No, here's the thing. I think.
Let me say.
Go ahead, Black. Go ahead, Abdul. Go ahead.
Let me say something here, right? Number one, the poor class of people in the quote unquote zones, they're not thinking, the mindset is not, well, I'm gonna open a business, entrepreneurial thing, whatever. That is not the mindset. They're not financially literate. Let me be real. They are not financially literate, 95% of them. Right? So, there lies the issue. Our educational system does not, well, in particular schools, the secondary and them kind of schools, not the CIC and the Fatimas and the Trinity and the different mentality, different teaching. Right? But when I go the normal secondary schools, they're not teaching you to go and open a business. They're not training you to go and open a business. They're training you to be a worker. Here's a worker bee, here's a sheep, here's a drone. That is what they're producing. That is what they are producing. Black people want their children to go to school, get the passes, maybe go and do O levels and go and get a good work and work for somebody unless you're going to be a lawyer or a doctor. Go and get your passes and go and work for somebody. Get a good job, take a mortgage, pay for it for 30 years, retire when you're old, then get your it. That is the culture. The culture is not going and be self-employed or try to build a business. That is not the culture that's taught to our people. And it's a generational thing.
But why don't the people teach themselves that then?
But there's what I'm coming at. For that to change, the culture have to change. And I was saying this earlier in our life, and people are not getting it. They need in the community self, in these communities self, whether it be an individual or a group of people, get up and try to implement these things within your community. Try to educate the young people about that. Because it's the youth here to target, not the big old hardback people. Let them go. Right? It's the youths. And you educate them, and this is how you turn the change in mentality. This is what has to be done. Otherwise, it's just going to be the same thing for the next 50 years. Everybody going, why black people not doing this? How the rest of races doing this, and why them not? Because it's lack of education.
I don't think it's just lack of education. I do agree that it is a different culture, but I do think it's a matter of education, as in if you input information into their mind, that's going to change all of a sudden. Because it's not, I don't think that's the issue. I think it's a cultural issue, which you did see, and I agree with that it is a cultural issue, the way some people look at life. For one, if you come from a culture that the pinnacle of what you're going to do is get a government work, and the government go mind you, and they go get you a house, and you go live nice, and that's how you look at life, well, it's going to be hard for you to go out there and get it. If you're a communist, like Freezer in the live here, if you're a communist and you think that it's the duty of the world to make sure that you are comfortably living, regardless of what happens, everyone is supposed to be able to have a living standard, well, then you're lazy and you're not going to go out there and get it. So it's a cultural kind of mindset that needs to change. I don't think that you change the subjects in school and educate people differently, and that's automatically going to change that. As I said, cultural. Because oftentimes you see people from different cultures. Sometimes they end up in the same school for whatever reason, and still you see different outcomes and different directions they head in because of the varying cultures. Now, I think a major problem in those communities, as you spoke about there, Abdul, isn't just only education and culture, but like I always say, the criminality in and of itself stops the flourishing. Crime creates poverty. How are you to start a business in Betham? What business are you starting in Betham beside selling herbs and spices to your neighbors?
But there are businesses in Betham and Sealands.
Here's what I'm saying, Abdul. I know this, of course. I am speaking in a generality for you to understand the point. Of course, there are businesses in Betham and Sealands. There are businesses in Haiti too. Of course. But generally speaking, as a regular person, what business are you thinking of starting in Betham? And if you're aiming at a business in Betham, you're aiming at Betham residents only, by and large. And that's not a fault of your education or particularly your culture, but because of the criminality that surrounds you. What did Freezer say there? Who you are correct. No one can invoke class consciousness. What causes a change in total material?
Bring up a good point. Can you even scale our business in Betham? That's great.
No, it would be very difficult.
Scale our business in Betham.
Yes, now.
You may not be able to scale our business in Betham or in Sealand, but it's a start.
But it's a very hard start. It is a very hard start. While in some other, while somebody in Palmis could actually do the American TV show Lemonade Stand, they could try that and actually go through.
No, for real, because when I traverse around this country, right? I either see a pharmacy open up there, health center there, grocery there. You traverse through Betham, where's the health center there? Where's the pharmacy there? Who wants to do that? Who is even going to do that? And sorry to state it like that, but it's just the facts now, boy. You understand what I'm saying? Like I took a trek down to Princeton a while ago. Bruv, they opened up a massive grocery at the start of the Tasca Road. name one big grocery to open up in Peter.
But outside people.
No, I ain't stating that, my brother. I'm stating just the mere fact of who is going to open up the business in Peter.
You
But Trini,
but just now.
my statement wasn't aimed at people from outside the community. But Trini, my statement wasn't aimed at anyone outside of the community
No, I get
invested
what
in the
you're saying.
community.
I get
My
what you're saying.
statement was aimed directly at people in those communities.
I get what you're saying, but the people inside those communities know the hardships of even open up a business inside of that community because they are the ones dealing with the pressures of that community. So they are the least people to open up any business.
The favorite example I like to use with that is mechanic. Like, think of a mechanic. Yes, you learn your skills, you learn from young, you get good, you start to go on YouTube, you're learning your things, you get a certification there, ting. All right, there are people with cars in Beetham who have to live in Beetham anyway, they will bring their car for you. You open a TikTok page, you're going viral because they like how you look, you glove up, you're looking nice, you know your thing, you're explaining with some technical information. Hey, this man know your thing, boy. I feel like I go with you, boy. Where you from? Where garage is? Nah, boy, I feel I had to do a site visit for that one.
You know what? No, that is not necessarily true, Nathan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you because in Sealands, there are several well-established businesses operating within Sealands. Several well-established businesses are operating in Sealands.
How long have they been well established?
So
Have they been recently established?
decades, Nathan.
Exactly. Which business has been recently established?
You're freezing.
Which business? You hearing me?
No, those businesses there. Ventura is there.
Yes.
Burja.
Which one has been
Listen,
recently
Ventura is
established?
there. Burja is there. Bagwan is there. Tashreez is there.
Recently established. And you hear the names you call also. Again, the same thing like the 1% issue. That's somebody who could come and put in 5 million into the project and build a facility that has security up to a certain level already. It changes the atmosphere. Now, I understand what you're saying, that still somebody could fight through it and still make the hustle, and I agree. And if I were to give advice to someone in those communities, that's the advice I would give them. But when we're speaking about the reality, we understand that it's a lot more difficult, and it's a lot more difficult for reasons. It's not the same as in every community to do. And that's not just an education issue.
If I thought like that, I would not have opened my business. If I thought like that at the age of 21 years old, I would not have opened my business.
If you thought like what, that it may be more difficult in your community.
Yeah, I would not have.
So
opened my business.
when you opened your Abdul, I asking if you didn't care, that means you know. You could only not care if you know. When you opened your business, you had no thought about the reality of the community you're living in. That never even came into your mind. Abdul, don't do it. Abdul, don't do that. Abdul, don't do that.
You forfeit your turn for being disingenuous.
What in my community where I grew up? Why would I have a fear in my community?
I didn't say a fear. I never said a fear. I never said a fear. I never said a fear. A consideration. A consideration.
Other communities. When I went in other communities to work, yes, and I still went.
I'm not saying for people not to do it. I'm just saying, let's understand the reality. Yeah, Ronnie?
Just wanted to respond to Abdul. Why does keep calling it the wrong name like that? Sir, you made such a point, and I love it, right? You said, oh, in schools they don't teach how to start businesses. Rah, 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 rah. Let me tell you something. I didn't go to a prestige school, and the amount of hustle it had in my school. People selling snacks, they selling food, drink, everything. They was doing everything, and it had things them was doing that you couldn't do in prestige schools. Plenty of the prestige schools telling you can't sell nothing on the compound, you know. But we had it, and it had people. The school I went to had hairdressing and barber. You know how much boys get zug up and pay the $5? You know how much?
Bro, I sorry, I was doing that. Sorry.
People was hustling, and just because they didn't call it fancy name, like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur. We didn't have all them terms back then. But there was hustling and making money, right? What does happen is with a lot of poor-minded people, does let fast money get to them. They don't know how to buckle down and hold steady for a little while. It will take a while, right? So they're just getting enticed by the nice things, and then they go from selling snacks and drinks to bringing in a little something to sell that will make them a little extra cash and get themselves in trouble. And I've seen it time and time again, these things always happening. Why does always happen to the poorer-minded people, right? Why is it happening to them? Because why they like nice things, they eye bright, and they're not willing to put in the time and the work. And let me ask you something, this, right? Give me type, this man, Pythagoras theorem, give me that. We learned that in school. Tell me what it is.
The shortest distance between two lines is
do that in school, right?
the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line.
Oh God, Nathan, you teaching and move now. They like to say, oh, why didn't they teach us about this and that in school? But if they did teach us it, would we have learned it? Would we have been able to recall all of the things that they taught us about business in school?
No, Pythagoras is the A squared. A squared plus B squared equals C squared, actually.
So Ronnie, where are all these hustlers today?
Pythagoras is A squared plus B squared equals C squared.
Mainly that.
Ronnie, okay. So Ronnie, how does this materialize in the adult world for all the hustlers?
Because I just said why they like fast money. I can tell you, I went to school with Dari Boss. Dari Boss was never like that. But why? You like fast life.
I mean, the gold chain kind of bling.
Because like, your eye bright. You want things that is not yours. You work hard.
Now, you know, Ronnie, I kind of like that statement you make, because in a way it makes full circle back to what I was talking about with the Chinese. The Chinese businessmen already reached to 3 branches of groceries, and he's still wearing his flannel shirt and khaki pants.
No.
He is still the main cashier in the oldest of the groceries. In the first grocery, the man cashing, that man, he's actually the owner. And he still works the longest hours. He is still packing the shelf in his grocery. While some of the cultures we have, they open a business, and the business now makes 6,000 this month. You already ready to hire 3 people because you don't work no more now, but you just take phone calls.
And fly out every weekend.
Oh, you mean it? Don't come now, big life. Come now, man. Listen, I open up a business on my iPhone 17, guys. So I could post my matches from Starbucks. What are they talking about, brother? I also want to live big life too.
And you see what you're saying there, Trini?
Starbucks thing.
I think what you're saying there reveals part of the problem in the Trini cultural mindset. And I'm saying this not just Afro Trini, but even many Indo Trinis have a similar mindset. Businessman means rich.
It does. does.
It's synonymous.
When music it does.
Businessman means rich. If I'm a businessman and I'm not rich yet, then this business ain't working. I need to close it down.
When I look at those gyro places, them serial open because they all love to talk about it now, boy. And I walk in this spot. Dog, I remember when the man only had one spot, but now went all over the place. Man, if he used to work inside of it, the man still wearing the same clothing. He probably come to Syria,
Come to Trinidad.
Nah. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Because my brother dressing in the same type of clothing, bro. It's like he want to buy a different clothing, bro. So my thing is this, right? Is why no, but that's serious. Why the Chinese man?
It's just a cultural difference.
There's a talk I just like to say, and I don't care what nobody say. When I walk in for certain foods, I want my person look a particular way. When I walk in a Chinese restaurant, my brother, I want to see my brethren have on that old apron, a white jersey, brother.
With a little soy sauce stain on it.
Exactly. I want to know that you chopping up my meat in the back, fresh, dog. So I know that man air buy clothing since 1954. Bruv, it's real. These people keep to this frugality on 1,000%. When I walk in, but you know something? When I walk in a clothing store on High Street San Fernando, the man that own it, he probably buying from his same store because he more outfitted than the store. How does that work, my brother? How does that work, my brother? How are you more outfitted than the store that you own? That makes no sense.
It's a culture. It's a culture. It's a culture. And you know, there are some people within the cultures that even with the negative traits still make very wealthy and they show themselves flashy and wealthy. And then there are some people in the culture that buck against the culture and get the benefits of it all. So you see both extremes. So you kind of get to see it's a cultural thing. It is a cultural thing. And
but this is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I'm saying, Nathan. We know we 100% sure it's our cultural thing, but I could use myself for example. Me at 21, 22 years old, going and collecting $100,000 and $200,000. I don't have no financial education. I go in town and spend about $10,000, $15,000 in clothes. I being real, that's what I was doing because we're not financially literate. We are cash in we hand. Dog, I in the Zen. It's more popping. It's more popping. I been real. It's 1,800 a bottle like that. Watch me, it's 1,800 a bottle.
Bro. It's a stage, bro.
Because we're not financially literate to know, well, yo.
Bro, I honestly, I don't think that is financial literacy. So somebody had to teach you that if you spend out your money, it go done. That's a cultural thing. It's a cultural thing where in our cultures, we groom short reward payback times. So we're always looking for the rewards at the shortest payback time. While in other cultures, they groom longer reward payback times. So a man is willing to work and make $1 billion so that his son could spend the $1 billion. That's the distance in payback he's looking for. His future horizon that he's looking at. While some communities, they want it today. And you see, some of the reason crime and criminality is so well seen in certain communities is for the same reason. The criminality is a short payback horizon thing. I want the payback good and beneficial tomorrow, so that's why I do crime. You're not looking at the next day and the next day and the next day. I don't think that's an education thing. It's a cultural thing. So maybe I might call it cultural education.
Nathan, listen, right? Listen. It mightn't be the same for every individual. Me and my circle, we had a mindset. We gonna do business. We're not working for nobody. But at the end of the day, real and realistic. A group of 4 or 5 fellas in the early 20s. We wasn't studying to expand into our next business yet. We just collecting checks and spending money. And we get burnt to learn, right? And that's how we learn. But the reality is, I tell you, for me, I could talk for me and my circle. Had we had that knowledge to know, well, yo, kind of take it down now. Right? Flip that money better than that.
You really feel so, Abdul? Abdul, you really think honestly? Back in those,
everybody is not the same thing.
I know. But I'm speaking even as you.
The will to go and open a business and make money.
All right, I'm speaking even as you. You know yourself, and you're thinking back then. You remember what you're blowing the money on isn't things that you don't enjoy. You're enjoying the clothes. You're enjoying the zen. You're liking the feeling of popping the moe in zen when everybody watch you. Hey, that man big boy. He big in it and thing. You like it. You like it. Do you think that someone came to you all in a group and say, fellas, don't spend your money sooner. Save your money and open up other businesses and branch out and, keep the money for a long. You think if someone told you that, you'd have changed and stopped going zen and stopped popping bottles? Honestly, I don't think so. I think you did that because you enjoyed it. And the enjoyment in the short term was what you were culturally taught was your preferential thing. And as you grew older, you recognized on your own, possibly, that this culture was deleterious to you. But I don't think in the moment someone telling you that as if knowledge was the problem would have changed that mindset, because knowledge was not the problem. I don't believe you had the knowledge to successfully run a business, but you didn't know that spending out your money means your money would finish faster. It was a cultural thing. You fell into the culture of the subculture of your group, and that's what influenced you. I don't think education was changing. Here's what may have changed that. Putting you in another culture. If you were grown in another culture and stewed in another culture, but went to all the same schools, you may not have done that. Culturally different. Culturally different. That's my belief. And I agree with Dr. Rajesh there, where he says mentorship. And I think especially on the male side, you look through history and that's the story of men. You need mentorship, I think. Now, the perfect ideal is your father is a picture perfect role model for you, and your mentor is built into your life. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way for many people. But mentorship is needed. Where else you're gonna learn how to be a man? And it's who you circle yourself with in that sense. All right, people, let's get into some of the closing statements.
Already? Wow, that was fast.
Wait, an hour and a half gone, Ronnie.
Let's go for hours and hours.
Ronnie, talk now, Ronnie. Ronnie, what you have to tell me, Ronnie? Go ahead, Ronnie.
Okay. I just wanted to say I somewhat agreed with most of you guys tonight. I was a little distracted. But wasn't it Abdul have children and thing now?
No.
Abdul is not hard name, boy. And yes, Abdul have children. This is crazy.
Yeah. So he will now be a better mentor to his children, and then hopefully that will change the landscape of our culture. It is definitely going to be on a one-to-one change in scale, right? Nobody can take the black culture and put it on the back. You break your back. Don't waste your time. I know what I'm telling you. So just take your little family and put them on your back and walk the road, teach them the right things. Everything will be good. I have faith in us. When I'm married at 1%,
All right.
I'm gonna have culture.
This is mad.
Right, Olia? See Nathan doing it the right way? I follow in suit. I am feeling tired.
I feel Trump can come around this country now. Yes, I fed up.
What Trump had to do with this?
Trump do what here?
Come on,
What
I Trump could I get here? I show Kamala from here now. Silver platter. Trump tell she going from here to shit over country.
So it's not no more drug boats in the water.
They catch the drug lord. What you doing? They catch the drug lord.
It's not no more
They
drug
catch
boats.
the boss. You catch the boss.
They catch the boss. That's what happened. They catch the drug lord. Like Nathan, you have big. I don't know what you mean by big.
So no drug.
I sell produce. I have some plantains. If you want to buy, I have cassava.
Where mean Abdul?
I do lessons and classes.
Abdul, what happened to the Medellin cartel after they catch Pablo on the rooftops, my brother? They didn't
That's
still
one thing,
start
no.
selling drugs. I don't know what it was.
No more boatload of drugs leaving down there.
It probably is.
Sir, they caught the leader.
Putting them again.
What the man, bro?
Abdul, they caught the leader, and the cartel now would be dispersed and weakened as they caught the leader.
Basically.
Okay, the drugs that do make in Venezuela. Okay, no problem.
Bruh, why?
It was a Ronnie. It was a transshipment point. It was being made elsewhere and coming through Venezuela into the Caribbean waters.
Oh, so they do have an expose they could come off of now?
Well, you see, sometimes when you take down the head, it disperses the entire organization, and they'll take a while to catch back themselves.
They went in court and said the cartel that they accuse him of being the head of does not exist.
Well, you see, you have to understand. Court is about what you could prove, especially the American court system. So what they're looking to do is make sure they get the best case to keep him in prison. It's like where they make a deal sometimes. So someone get caught really and truly with a gun, but they also get caught with drugs. You can't really prove the gun case on them, so you tell them plead guilty for the drugs, and they'll get a sentence for that. And they get a kind of harsh sentence for the drugs, but something that's way less harsh than the guns. And that goes down on the record as only a drug conviction, but they were actually caught with a gun. You understand? That's how the court system works. It's about what you could prove.
You're talking all night talking and start nonsense. You're a zero effect person. I find sometimes people just have a talk. Come on, man.
Abdul, what you see person? Abdul, that is your brother right there, bro. I don't know.
But how they took control of their oil and still leave them in sanctions, lol. America. Because they can. But they're releasing some of the funds now. Delcy could spend. What are you talking about? Listen. I don't know why y'all hating on the global police. The people did a police action, and LA's always called them the global police. They did a police action. They went and they arrested the man. Why are we complaining? Listen, if Venezuela look up, they're helping us. What's that?
Go ahead, Abdul.
You know, they went and do the same thing in Scotland just recently, yeah.
What's that?
They went in Scotland and snapped some people.
I don't know nothing about
I know about that.
I just would like to say
The ship, a ship.
Oh, the ship that repaint themselves to Russia.
Yeah.
that ship look for what they get.
Well, listen, the captain was Scottish, right?
It don't matter. They were flying an unflagged ship.
The captain was Scottish.
It don't matter. They were but wait, Abdul, you as a man know the rules of the sea. Yeah, a man know the rules of the sea. If you're flying an unflagged ship, you're entitled to be boarded by a nation.
Right, but this is after they seized the ship. Listen to what happened here now.
Yeah.
The captain of the ship is Scottish.
Uh-huh.
Some of the crew members is Scottish. And they told them, the Scottish government told them, we not said all in no way, all these Scottish citizens. Apparently, a couple days ago, the US decided we gonna put on a kidnapping. And went and snatched them in Scotland. Without anybody knowing. They was talking about it in the Scottish Parliament.
I like that kind of vibes.
Yeah.
I like that vibes.
Yes, on what?
I like that vibes. I like that vibes.
I don't care about this. I didn't care about Maduro. I didn't care about nothing. I just find it funny that or you accuse the man of being the head of this drug cartel, yet his right-hand woman, or you appoint her.
She was never accused, but she was never accused.
But that's his right-hand woman.
That's his vice president. That doesn't mean it's the right hand of the cartel. It's a political organization. It's a political organization, and she is just second in charge of the political organization. Maybe she knew nothing about the machinations behind the scenes.
Well, or maybe she was the one that rat him out.
Or maybe.
I mean, maybe, right? But we can't automatically think just
So
because
since again with the dictators.
we can't automatically think just because a president has been accused of something, their vice president automatically is involved. That is a madness. Why?
But you know what funny with it? You know what funny with this?
It be that way.
Is a lose-lose situation, eh? They grab Maduro alone. They're like, but how they gonna leave the rest? If they had grabbed Maduro and the whole cabinet, they would have said, look, watch what America do. Whole regime change. I thought Maduro was the bad one. You can't please people. You can't please people.
You can't please me. I'm
I
not
think
saying
that
that.
the movement dictators, and we have a modern dictatorship in us, club.
I don't know about that, but
Not a dictatorship.
I don't think our country is shaped in the way that it would allow for a dictator to rise like that. Option 3, don't abduct anyone. Well, that option wasn't on the table, unfortunately. They wanted to do something about that. And listen, in the world of geopolitics, as I keep saying, if we all want to live a moral life and upstanding, well, let me go on 100% morality. But don't try and give me no piecemeal morality and try and pull my moral heartstrings for one cause and then go about war in the other cause. Freezer is the man who talk about putting everybody in the gulag, and he talking about don't abduct anyone. You could take these people seriously? This man was in our life talking about kidnapping me and taking me away from my children because I don't want to give you my money in the communist dictatorship. This man, you all forget the life we did with this communist? That's what he said. And now he is talking about option 3. Don't abduct anyone, because he is speaking from a position of moral clarity. Give me a chance.
But Nathan, that is the contradicting nature of communism. It just is what it is, right?
Listen.
When you are jealous and envy, bruv, you do a lot of shady, nefarious.
A bag of communists out here talking about how dare they do this to Maduro. It's against international law. Does Maduro keep international law?
No.
So then how could he appeal to a law?
Maduro was not affecting international law. The man was humbling himself in his little country.
How could he appeal to a law that he doesn't accede to? How does that work?
Well, it's them claiming, it's America claiming that they like international law so much.
Trump tell you he like international law?
Not Trump, America.
So who America claiming that? Who is America to claim that? Who in America claiming that make you say America claim it? Trump is the president and he doesn't like it or approve of it.
But Maduro never once say he like international law.
Right. So then you can't complain about, oh, they broke international law. He don't
He's not complaining now.
Well, you can't complain on his behalf for it because he doesn't believe in it. Ronnie, why you talking? You're just talking for talking sake or what, Ronnie? Stop. Ronnie, stop. Ronnie, stop. You're talking for talking sake.
I am playing devil's advocate. I feel like he needed a little advocate.
Well then stand with it and advocate as for the devil and advocate for the international law. Here you're not standing for everything. You're just saying he ain't. Stand on your point. If you're advocating for international law, then hold to it.
Yes, it does.
The devil needs no advocacy,
Yes,
bruv.
it does.
Listen. What imperial sanctions, my brother? What the hell is imperial sanctions? I don't know what imperial sanctions mean. I know what sanctions mean. I know what embargoes mean.
You know,
I don't know what imperial
Trini, imperial might actually have a fair understanding. Imperial in the sense that the United States does act to some extent as the global empire, and I agree, they are. I agree. They are imperial by nature, and Trump is even more imperialistic. He would like to spread US influence over the entire world. I agree, there is imperialism to that. And what's new? It's the same point I was just making. That has always been the morality of the world. You would like to change it to your emperor ruling in communist utopian land. He would like capitalist emperor. So what? Am I supposed to feel sorry that your communist emperor can't win and the capitalist emperor is winning? What? No, I don't care. In fact, I prefer the capitalist emperor to your contorted evil stuff. So that's the point I'm making about the partial morality. So yes, there are imperial sanctions. And so what? Where is the book that this is wrong? So then you a dictatorship of a minority over the majority. What minority over what majority? Is Venezuela the majority?
No.
Who is the majority you're speaking about here?
No, but what dictatorship does not have a minority leadership over the majority anyway? Like the
That's a
world.
dictatorship.
Exactly. Well, to my knowledge, the world hasn't run off of the majority ruling anything anyway. It has always been the minority of somebody, either elected or unelected, has run something. So where we going with this? Because
And a democracy is my majority.
no, but in a democracy,
So we have do we have a minority dictatorship here?
No.
Oh my gosh.
No. Abdul, you see, you get me wrong here. Abdul,
I love it.
The point about it is, right, is that the people who have the power to enact laws, policy, is a small group of people. We elect them. We elect them with the power to do so.
Okay.
And that's just how it is. Because here's what I'm saying, right? If the Zozos was to pass, right, it would pass with no referendum in terms of the general public wouldn't even have a vote to say that the prime minister could enact that. It would just be up to the parliament.
Quick question though, would you guys be willing to do that? Well, would you have felt better if it went to a vote by the citizens?
I'll answer that just now. Freezer, socialist societies are run on dictatorships of a small group of people. It has never been the majority of anybody.
You see, Trini, the problem they have is they think that the masses can rule, but the masses cannot rule. The reality is, everyone in Trinidad cannot all come together and make decisions on behalf of everybody in Trinidad. When they say the masses, what they mean is a representative of the masses, which goes back to the same political system. It's a stupid word game. A stupid word game. Lenin was the masses. Stalin was the masses. Mao was the masses. Pol Pot was the masses. That's what they mean. When they say the masses, they mean me. I know what the people want. It's the same thing like Animal Farm. The pigs could understand what the animals really want. We will speak on behalf of the animals, and we say the animals want this. And somehow they believe that when you get people to get all power through some political move, somehow that monopoly is going to be better than if we leave it in the free market, where the person who is most industrious gets the most and they run that. No. That's not the most effective. We want to give a politician all the power. That's how we will solve it.
Let me ask this question before you go, right? If we didn't have all these geriatrics in the parliament and we had some young people in the parliament, right? We get rid of all these pensioners. Do you think the country would run and function much better?
No.
No, because we get our leadership from the country. They're a representative of the country at the end of the day. You go for younger and you'll just get younger of the same. Not really, because the masses in Great Britain, which was the citizens, voted for Brexit, and up till now they still haven't Brexited. In fact, this present Prime Minister is attempting to bring them even closer back into the European Union. You read up a bit on it, and they aren't happy about it. All of the Brexiters are complaining that what they voted for they aren't getting. The United Kingdom has voted against mass immigration every single election for the last 30 years, and every single election they've gotten a government that gave them more mass immigration. Reality. It's not about the masses. Trini was right about that. To a large extent, it is really just the minority. Frieza says you don't understand that corruption is a product of capital. That's why you can't fathom socialism. You see, corruption is only there when people could spend their own money. But when the government can control everyone's money, no one in the government will get corrupt. You see, once the government controls all the resources in the country, corruption will disappear. And Frieza believes this. And he is an intelligent, full-grown human.
Mind you, corruption probably was at its highest in the USSR.
Bro, 900 and something thousand people from the CCP party in China were disappeared last year. In what? Anti-corruption.
No, literally. What's funny is this, right?
I ain't taking them figures. Take them figures in a pinch of salt now.
No. But let me say this, right? The CCP has allowed many businesses within their special economic zone to run free, to do whatever they want. But as soon as that business goes against the CCP, you see how quick the anti-corruption laws come out of nowhere? But
it's not just businesses. You look at many of the people, it's not about businesses, it's about other politicians. That's who they're taking in for corruption. Other politicians, and the numbers are coming out of China, strange enough. They are publishing some of these numbers, which lets you know that their intention is to scare whoever they're aiming to scare. But somehow a communist believes that the Communist Party in China sending people out for corruption isn't proof that communism could have corruption. All right, okay. We give 100% of the power to the politicians, and it's going to be perfect.
Yeah, okay.
We need to install a dictatorship and train that.
Yeah, Frieza, the USSR.
Yes, E4.
Yes, your vote was Zuzu.
What?
And I'm asking, yes, no?
Doctor,
If it went to the vote of the public,
Oh, you mean like referendum?
yeah, a referendum for Zuzu, would you?
Oh, because
Yes,
it's
no.
not needed.
I wouldn't vote for
Politics
it,
have
no.
enough powers as they don't need anymore.
I mean,
But I would have to read it over first, because I only know the cliff notes. I don't know the full details. A dictatorship is not communist nor socialist. You see, Dr. Rajesh, this is my problem with communists and socialists. It's like saying supplegen and doubles is not diarrhea, but it leads to diarrhea every time.
It really doesn't.
A dictatorship. Understand the example now, Ronnie. Come now, man. Stop it.
Oh my gosh, so sorry. Tonight I just.
in the reality of it, socialism and communism is not a dictatorship, because what socialism and communism means is kindness, where all of us live together happily. That's what it means. And if all of us aren't living together happily, then it's not real socialism or communism. But how does it aim to get us all to live together happily? Well, it gives all the power to one person. Okay. And if that one person becomes a dictator, then it's not communism. But if that one person ushers in the utopian dream that we all have, then it's real communism. Do I need to point out how that is very foolish? Must that be pointed out? Or can you, as an adult, look and see this? Really, I am dumbfounded that people still to this day I hold that in the same view like the people who look up to Nazism. Like, what? The thing has failed every time, spectacularly, violently, in the most cruel form. But no, this time it would work.
When I do it, it's a work.
Right. said every dictator on the planet, I would do it more better than the next one. More
Yes.
than the next one. And yet we get to 10. We tend to get the same thing. And you see, this is why I can't support Ibrahim.
Singapore wasn't a communist, eh?
Because you know why I can't support Ibrahim Traore Abdul, because in vain he might 80%, 90% turn out to be the dictator that he claims he's not going to be. It's like
because Chidi, I understand you. Chidi, I understand you. You're not for that action. I understand it. You're not for that action. I understand your position. But sometimes that action is required. I believe, listen, I believe the politicians need to fear the population that they're to represent.
I agree with that.
Fear the population, they will run wild.
But here's my
belief.
That's why I think that the United States, in their founding documents, the idea of assuring everyone's armed, I think was a wonderful idea, because that's how you do that. That's how you do that. Not by doing a coup every now and again, because what a coup is, Traore wasn't a regular member of society. He was a military man. And that's the only people that take over, members of the military. So what that does is it makes the military into your elite class. It's another way to do classism. Now, if you are saying that everyone has that ability, now it's a different thing. Because the reality is, maybe Ibrahim is disliked by 75% of the... I don't know. Maybe he's liked by 100%. This is just hypothetical here. Maybe he's disliked by 75% of the country. But if he controls 10%, and the 10% he controls are all the armed men, and that's the problem with that to me. Yes, it might be necessary to make sure that the politicians remain with some level of fear for the population. But they don't fear the population. They fear the military. And that's why in Africa, when one comes into power, they try to bribe the military or kill out the military. One out of the two. Because they fear the military. They don't care about the population. Let the population die and starve. What are they going to do? They can't do anything. It's the military you have to worry about. And that's why I think that's not necessarily a good idea. I agree, Abdul, they should fear the population. How you do that? Arm the population. And that way, you have counterbalances of fear. So yes, this one fears the population, but so does that one, and so does the other, and so does the other. Bro, dictatorships do not arm their population. Of course they don't.
I know what is. Lenin didn't arm his population either.
No communist arms their population because they're all dictators.
My mind the Vanguard Party.
No, you see, I'm still trying to get my question in there. Aren't politicians a product or byproduct of their population?
Yes.
How do you instill fear?
How do you instill fear? By being able to harm them, to speak plainly. That's how you instill fear. Now, here's the reality. They are a byproduct of our society. So that's why I said, I don't think if you have younger politicians versus older politicians, you're going to get a better result. I don't think so. Now, I do think if the politicians have fear for their population, you would get better results. Lenin, Maduro, Ibrahim all armed the vanguard of their nation. They didn't arm their whole nation. None of them did. Speak to a Venezuelan, please, Freezer. They are all about Trinidad. Go talk to one of them. They will inform you. Maduro never armed them. I don't know about Ibrahim because I don't know the information coming out of there. Neither did Lenin. Lenin took away the arms and Stalin reinforced it. Man, but I spoke to Frieza already. He doesn't know his communist history. He is just envious of people who have more things than him. He is envious of people who have more things than him, and that's why he's a communist. Guns affiliate, behave yourself. Behave yourself.
Right, and guns are also very, 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 very free in China. Okay, bruv. What? Right, man.
Yeah, people. Ronnie, you see, you drag us out to midnight nearly, right?
You see what I did? You see what I did there?
Well done, Ronnie.
Working for the people.
Working for the people. Ronnie for the people out here. Let me hear the closing statements now.
Good night. Most people that follow new to this life, I am normally not like this. I had a shitty day, so that's why. Y'all be good. I'll leave Charlie to say the rest.
Hey, that 1% husband is not teaming the
No.
things
That
in
is
the-
absolutely happening.
Bad.
That was it. That was it.
It was quite a pleasure to be in the presence of great thinkers. I look forward to being here with you all again.
Nathan, you were saying, right, Trini?
Jay, hush your mouth. Fed up by you now, Jay. I'm fed up by you. How was your class today? You are student, you know. I don't catch myself, Jay. You are student, you know. This is bad.
Trini, we don't want no communism, we don't want no socialism, and we need to arrest some democracy. We need to arrest. Right? We need to arrest. What we need right now is something that will deal with the crime and put the economy back in order. Right? Bring it. Bring the Sharia for a little 2-3 years.
I laughing because I just know where this plane going and land.
Haram.
That is what she's trying to do. She's trying to instill the fear of whoever.
But you know what, Abdul? Abdul, I rate you. I rate you because that if I am a believer in what I say I believe in, and what I say I believe in says this is the path, then I'm supposed to believe that that is the best path. So I rate it. I rate it. You're right.
Nathan, do you hold a lot of socialist beliefs? I heard you do.
Who you hear that from?
Hey, look at the chat.
Nathan have a lot of socialist beliefs but won't assert it as it is. I am a full-fledged communist when it comes to my family. When it comes to my family, I'm a communist. What I make, they could spend. I'm a communist. In fact, what I make, they do spend. Communism, wonderful. From him according to his ability, to them according to their need. I am cool with that. With my community extended, I am even a socialist. A little less than communism, you know, but I don't mind some social policies in my community. The people who are struggling, I will always help them out. Easily. Any day. You want food? Nobody in my community could come and ask me for food and I'm like, no, you're not getting no food. No. Of course, I'm a socialist. But when it comes to countrywide, and there are envious, greedy people like Frieza out there, and I know if I willingly give, they will take everything till I have no more. I prefer a free market where I am freely able to put what I want in the market for sale and freely able to buy what I want out of the market for sale. Isn't that sensible? But no, these communists would want you to be communists with the whole wide society and their greedy selves looking to take everything you have so that you are unable to be communist with your own family. You can't decide how much your family gets because Kamala must decide how much you get. And that's the belief of the communists. That's why communists try to destroy families, they try to destroy churches, they try to destroy any institution that is able to orient the human outside of the state. Because their aim is that everything is in the state. It's actually the ideal of the Marxists. The state is everything and there's nothing but the state. And these people who have never read a book from Marx or never read anything from any Marxist ever in their life come to try to propagate this nonsense on us. This nonsense that has murdered millions upon millions of people over and over.
You know something, Nathan? What I could respect Marx for? He lived in his scholar. Like, he really was about this G thing now, boy. Because today's socialists and Marxists and stuff, they are all children of wealthy people, or they are wealthy people themselves cosplaying now, boy.
Bro.
When Marx was really a gutter snipe for real.
But Marx,
he was real greedy.
Marx was a literal picture of Marxism. Marx lived off of the wealth of Engels. Never wanted to work. Was so lazy they said he smelled. He grew warts all over his body from trying never to move. He abused his wife. His children hated him because he was such a lazy, good-for-nothing man. His favorite quote came from a Satanist poet. His favorite quote was, everything that is worth existing should be destroyed. Like, and this is the man that these people put up as a pinnacle for progression to the future. Huh?
Amazing intellect is mad.
No, he was what Marx was able to do. Marx was able to synthesize envy, human envy, into a political ideology. And human envy is a very strong catalyst. It's very strong. And that's why so many people in modern day attempt to twist Marx's philosophy to fit all kind of different envious ideals. So there are neo-Marxists, there are race Marxists who try to fit the envy into the racial scope, where this race should be envious of this race because of what this race has. And then there is gender Marxism, where this gender should be envious of this gender because of what this gender has. It's just a way to synthesize human envy into a political ideology. That's why it's so useful. But that's also why it's so murderous. Because that's what comes at the end of human envy. Killing. They have synthesized one of the deadly sins and made it into a political ideology. And then attempt to put moral certainty to cover it over. Freezer says, I'm a 22-year-old working class lawyer. I don't know what rich family we're speaking about. Do you know what working class means? A lawyer, by definition, is not working class.
Literally, bro. This is a...
She's an ages, bro.
You can call yourself a civil rights lawyer, or what type of lawyer, but a working class lawyer is mad. That's not even... Bro, a lawyer is a different class above regular people. Excuse me? A paralegal? Even a paralegal, you know?
Working class is blue collar.
It is, literally.
Literally. Sir. Paralegal is not blue collar. Ronnie, go and sleep. Freezer, working class isn't a definition of how much money you make. Working class came out of a matter of the type of work. And the type of work also generally said what the level of money you make. So just say you're a low paid, lawyer.
He's a new lawyer that man stand up outside the steps and the Hall of Justice. If I go and he page now, I see and I'm stand up, but he bar over he neck. Please.
Please, you don't have to own land to be of a particular class, you know. This is a kind of madman kind of move, bro.
Listen, I think
Pew 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 pew. You see what it annoys me, and it's the same thing like the Marxists. Just before pew 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 comment goes up, it annoys me. Like, go research the words. You can go Google what working class means. It refers to blue collar. That is what it refers to. Generally unskilled, generally manual labor. So it's not about how much money you make. Working class is not a tax bracket. It's a working class. It's a class of workers. Blue collar means manual labor. Pew, 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 are you listening? I just said that. Working class refers to manual labor, often generally unskilled. Working class is your relation to production. Land is the...
Okay, I think that is it for me there, bro.
Yeah, let me hear the closing there, people.
Yeah, we have people talking about lawyers that show their own careers and things.
The amount of petroleum employees that was workers.
What do you mean?
Right, listen, I think
no land equals working classes are mathematics because
Yes.
Chinny, that's not I just ran it now. I think Renee was caught a little off guard when I say we need a rest from democracy. She was held a little aghast by that statement.
Little aghast.
But you need to think of it in the political sense, right? That for the last, 60-something years of the democracy that we've been having, it hasn't really been working for us. It has been working for the politicians. It hasn't really been working for us as it is touted to work. It hasn't.
Plato has some sayings about democracy, but I feel you.
Democracy is two. I always say democracy is two wolves and a sheep voting about what's for dinner.
Does Frieza know back in the USSR, the working class own land, the farmers they own land?
The man. I don't know, Frieza. I don't mean to be insulting personally, but I would have thought that a lawyer would be better read.
No.
The man is 22. The man is, he's telling you all what he's going to be in a few years. Come on.
Do you know Stalin? Do you know Stalin caused a genocide of farmland owner?
Yes, the kulaks. During the Holodomor.
Working class people own land.
I've been up since 4.
Yeah. Listen. As the great, listen, I love him, as the great George Orwell said in his Animal Farm book, my brothers and sisters, when the pigs was controlling the farm, basically, he said all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. Big up, dude.
Great. I am just really concerned about Frieza. Like, on a real note, on a very serious note, I'm very
What are you concerned about?
Because
this is why women can't earn more. They're too concerned.
No, on the real note.
I'm listening.
I find that a little concerning because he's 22. He's a young man. He now come out of university. Isn't that this is what all the young people coming out of university? And then worse than that, he's a young man. Is it a young man? He's a man, right? He sounds like a man.
Yeah,
He reads like a man. He reads like a man. Right. So a young man speaking in such a way, is that not concerning? Or I just overly concerned?
Yes, it is very concerning. But I am not surprised because I saw it coming from Twitter for a long time now. Our university education has become Americanized, and that's not a good thing. A lot of our university education over the last 20 years or so has changed from just putting information into students' head into attempting to get them to see what is the right way to think about things in the world, to moralize them into activism for causes. And almost all of that generally leads into this Marxist nonsense. Communism is not immoral. We went through this already, Frieza. We know you don't understand. but that's where it comes from. It's university. There's a reason why the students who go to labor colleges and learn HVAC aren't coming out as communists, while the ones who go and learn law are. There's a reason for that. All right. Okay, Freezer. All right. Yes. Sure, Freezer. Like you will come on the live with a PC tomorrow. They sell us dreams and condition us to believe certain realities in school systems. Yeah, they do sell dreams. They do sell dreams. And I mean, it's obvious, eh? Communism and socialism is an advocacy for a widening and an increasing of the size of the state, the size and power of the state. Then isn't it obvious that when the state educates you, the state is going to teach you that the better way for a country to run is by getting the state bigger? Like, there's no shock there, really and truly. The state is educating you, and the state is telling you that the best way for the state to run is to give the state more power. And you've come out of university thinking you are revolutionarily minded by asking the state to get more power. That is truly a skill of brainwashing that is happening in our universities. So I am worried about it in terms of the large sense of more people being communists and this kind of wicked nastiness. But I am not surprised by it. So that's why it doesn't, dumbfound me like that.
Abdul, I think you ever listen to what I'm saying, and you tend to jumble up a lot of things what I'm saying. I am not against arming the population. I hope we understand this. I am not against it. Just because I'm against revolutionary action doesn't mean I'm not against arming the population against the tyranny of their government. Because at the end of the day, we are supposed to protect ourselves from the tyranny of our governments. There's a book, I forget the name of it, where the person surmised that in all reality, governments try to get to their logical conclusion of tyranny, monarchy. If it's like one person ruling it all now. And it gets there pretty fast in terms of how we go about certain things. And I'm not against it. I'm never against how many population, bro. It is what it is. Right? This is why listen, I think America might be the last place to ever turn to a tyrannical dictatorship. Because the people ain't having it. It's too ingrained within their system to arm themselves against that nonsense. You would faster get it in places like Africa. And that's just the truth. You know what I'm saying? So don't get me wrong, Abdul. I'm never against certain things just because I'm against other things.
That question wasn't about that. That question was about the place where it was posted. That's kind of crazy.
No, I mean, well, come on, bro, come on.
All right, people. If there are no further questions or comments on the inside, that's all we have for now. The citizens of America won't win, though. Lol, willingness versus reality. Win against who? People in modern times, revolution isn't just random violence like these people think. Revolution always becomes random violence. You see, it's hubris to think that you are going to topple the state, topple the police, topple the standing army, and then when you do all of that, Prezi isn't going to take over. You are a fool. You think Tayo and them boys, after you topple the state, the police, and the army, Tayo, who has his own army, is just going to watch you and your other pansy little communists, which is soft cells from UE, marching to Port of Spain and like, we will rule now. You think that's going to happen? It's not whatever happens. The Stalins always rise to the top. They always do. Prezi will be a boss. Tayo might rule half of Trinidad, Prezi the next, and the eights on the Tobago. That's what will happen. Look at Haiti. Barbecue running things. Years now they're trying to depose him. That's what happens when you topple order. So best you go and meet Prezi and them one time and introduce yourself to your future leaders. All right. Laters, people, hold it down. Peace. I'm out. By Instagram. Where the grammars? Where the Instagram? Laters, IG. I saw, who was it? Chul over there on IG. Laters. Hold it down well. Later's Facebook, Mahesh Chukolingo, big up over on the Facebook. Thank you for tuning in. And big up YouTube also, Elite 8 AI Music. Thank you. You left a lot of comments there, bro. Much appreciated over